We'll now take a look at how we can create a Google form to maintain the attendance of the student. For this purpose, we log into our Bhavan's mail ID, and on a separate tab we can type out forms.google.com. Now in this page that loads up, we click on the plus sign that comes up here, starts a new form. You can click on this plus and it will open a blank form for us. In this form, the first thing that is advisable to do is to change the title of the form. At the moment it's untitled form, so I'm going to give it a title. I would really suggest that since this is also going to serve as the attendance, it's a good idea to keep it as the date of the day you are taking the lecture. So 15 July 2020, suppose this is the attendance file of 15 July of the lecture that I'm going to take on 15 July. So I'm going to keep the name as 15 July 2020. So that gets replicated here. You can also see that Google automatically saves any changes to the drive. Now one of the first things that I would suggest you to do is to come to the right side where settings are given. It opens up a dialog box which has got 3 tabs. In the first tab, called the General tab, it's a good idea to collect the mail addresses. It is switched on by default. If it is not in your case, so please kindly switch it on. Response receipts you may or may not give to the students. That means it's a response to the student that we've got your attendance. So I am at the moment I'm going to switch it off. But I am going to click this and switch it on because I want every student to fill this in only once. So I'll keep this on. What the respondents can see, whether they can edit after submitting or if they can see the summary charts and all, I'm going to keep this off. It's totally up to us whether we want to keep it on or off. The next tab is the presentation tab, which gives us certain other features like showing a progress bar or shuffling the question order. This is again according to each teacher's choice. If you want to keep it on, you can, and if you want to give a confirmation message to the student once the student has submitted the form, then you can do so here. At the moment I'm going to leave this blank. I come to the third tab. Now in the third tab it says make it a quiz. Now if I am intending this also to be a quiz, then you can keep it on, and if it is on, then it's a good idea not to immediately release the grades. So I am going to keep later after manual review. So immediately the student will not be able to see the score. This again is your choice. This is how I prefer it, so I keep it like this. And whether I would like the student to see what all are the missed questions or the correct questions and point values, again according to your requirement you may keep it on or off. I prefer keeping it off, so I'm going to keep it off. And after these options are selected, I click on save. Now this is the time when, since I'm collecting email addresses, this option also has come up here. One of the first things that I would suggest that you take from the student is the roll number of the student. So I say roll number, and the student has to enter the roll number. The type of answer it is, there are several types of questions, it's going to be a short answer. So I'm going to click on short answer. If you want, this is the place where the student is going to enter. If you want to take the number only, then you can keep it as a number only, or if you want to keep it only text, then accordingly I'm going to keep it as a number and leave the rest of the things as it is. But I'm going to make it a mandatory field to enter, so I'll switch on the required button. Then I will go on to the next question. I'll add a question by clicking on the plus sign on the sidebar. So the plus sign I'll click and I'll get one more question facility. So it's a good idea to have some questions that you may have taught that particular day. So I've prepared them and kept all together, or beforehand itself. So I'm just going to copy from here and put one question here, and number of bits in ASCII. I'm going to make it a multiple choice question, and I will give certain options here, say 32, maybe 16, maybe 8, any one of this. Now these are the options that I have given. Now I want to make this a mandatory question, so I'll keep this as required as yes. And since it's also a test, I can assign marks to the option that the student selects. So for that, this is something, since it's a multiple choice question, Google itself can correct this form for us. So what I'm going to do is I'll go click on answer key, and in answer key I'm going to select what is the correct answer. Now number of bits in an ASCII code, there are 8 bits in an ASCII code, so that is my correct answer. I'm going to click that after I click on answer key. And if the student also selected this, I can select the number of marks or points that I want to award the student. So I feel I should give him 1 point for getting that as the correct answer. So I decide that here, 1 or 2 or 5, whatever it is that you would like to give, and click on done. So that's first question. I can add another question by clicking on the plus in the sidebar. It will open a blank question for me. I have already prepared the questions, so I'm going to just copy and paste from here. It's going to be easier for me that way. So I'll paste it here, and it is going to be a multiple choice question, so I let this be, and I am going to give in the options here. That's some options that I'm going to give. And the last one, I'll say it is none of the following, none of the above, sorry, none of the above. I'll make this also a mandatory question. The answer key I want to give to this. So, okay, D flip-flop is used to store data in a register. That's the correct answer. And I would like to award 1 mark for getting this correct to the student. Once I've set all that, I click on done. And that's the second question that I have set. Now in this manner, we can have about 5 questions as Principal Ma'am suggested in this particular form. Just remember to take the email address and the roll number also of the student. Once that is done, our form is ready, and it's time for us to send this form to the student. Now preferably we'll try and send this form to the student in the last 5-10 minutes of the class. So once they've attended the lecture, they will have a better idea about answering these questions also. So to send the form to the students, what we need to do is click on the send button. It opens a dialog box with 3 options. First one is sending via email. In case if you know the email address of the student, you can type it out here. But personally, I wouldn't really suggest this, because this will send the email addresses, send the form to the email addresses of all the students, even the ones who may not have been present in class. So that doesn't really, vouch for the attendance of the student. The second option is to send the link, and the third option is to embed it in HTML. What is preferred here is to go to the link. This is the link of the form that you just created. It's looking like a very big link, so we can shorten it. Click on shorten link and it will get shortened, and we can copy this link. So either Control C here, or you can click on copy here, and the link ID or the link has been copied and kept in the memory. Now we can go to the chat of the meeting that you are conducting, whether it is Google Meet or Cisco WebEx or Zoom, and in the chat you can paste the link that you've just created. So for example, I can paste it here. So this is the link of the form that I just created for 15 July. So this is the manner in which you can send the form to the student. Once the student gets that particular link, they can click on that link in their chat, and this particular form will open up to the student, and they can answer the questions and submit it. Now when the student submits it, the responses come to us teachers in this responses tab. It will get populated here, and the graph you can see. I'll just show you an example of another form in a little while. And also you can create a Google spreadsheet with the answers of the student. So if I click on this green button here, create spreadsheet, it asks me whether you want to create a new spreadsheet or select an existing spreadsheet. It's always a good idea to create a new spreadsheet, because it's an attendance that we're taking, so every day it has to be separate. So click on create new spreadsheet and click on create. So it will show you a spreadsheet which it will create with a timestamp field that it has added, email address you were already taking, score for the marks that the student has scored, roll number which the student entered will come here, the answer the student gave for this particular question, the first question, all those answers will come here, and the answer the student may have given for the second question will all appear here. At the moment, I have not given the form to anyone, so this Excel sheet or this spreadsheet is empty. Once a student enters or fills the form, I will have this form, all this spreadsheet populated with the date and time in which the student has entered, and his email address, his or her email address, and the score that they've got, and the roll number. So this is where you can view the spreadsheet or the data of the student who has filled up. I'm going to close this and I come back to the form. Now it's a good idea to give the students a little time to fill this form, say the last 5 or 10 minutes. So once the 5 minutes is up, what we need to do is come back to the form's responses. Can you see? There are 2 tabs here, questions, where we created the questions, and there is a responses tab. Come back to the responses tab and stop accepting responses. Click it and it will get switched off. This means that if the link that you have given in the chat, if that link is further shared by the students, anybody else getting it after say 5 minutes after you've switched it off will not be able to fill that form. Just to maintain that only the students who attended the class get to fill the form, others should not. So this is what I would recommend, to stop accepting responses after about 5 minutes, just before you're about to close the lecture. And as I also showed you where you can go and see the Google Sheet which has got the population or the populated data that the student has entered. Now this is for 15th July. What happens on 16th July or 17th July when the next lecture is? Now, do we need to make the Google form again all over? Except for the questions, the rest of the stuff can be done in a very fast manner by doing this. You open the 15th July or the previous form, and in the top right hand corner there are these 3 buttons, 3 dots. We click on this and there's an option for make a copy. So click on make a copy. It will ask you for a new name. So instead of copy of 15th July, you put in the next date of the lecture. Say it is 17th July, you want to take a lecture. So when you click on type out 17th July and click on OK, and it will copy that file and make another file for 17th July. This is a different version or a different copy from our 15th July file. As you can see, I am changing the tab. This is the 15th July form, and I go to the next tab which got automatically opened. It has got the 17th July form. Now everything here is going to be the same. All you need to do is come back to the questions and change the questions, because obviously if the questions are also the same, then there is no point in sending the same thing again to the students. So what I am going to do is, I have got a couple of other questions here. So I am going to copy that question and paste it here, and options again I'll have to copy and paste. Now I don't think we can copy the whole thing together and paste, so we'll have to do it one by one. That is a small task. Executable code and none of the above. I'll just type it out, none of the above. I think this was faster for me. Okay, now that we've got all these options, it's a good idea, now that you've changed the question, to go to answer key and check what is the correct answer now. The program written in our own alphanumeric characters is called the source code. So it's not none of the above here, it's going to be source code. I click on source code and select that, and I click on none of the above and deselect that, and that is my answer. If you want to continue with the same points, you can let that be, and you click on done. So that is the change in the question that you brought about. Similarly, you can change all the other questions. I'm just leaving it like this at the moment. Again, this is the form that you've got, and before you send this form to the students, again, please do check that the accepting responses should be on, because the previous time you had switched it off, when it made a copy, it kept it off here. So before sending, please do check that the accepting responses is on. Once that's done, again come to send, come to link, shorten the URL, copy this URL, go to the chat of the meeting, virtual meeting that you are conducting in your lecture, and paste it there. So this is the way the link is going to appear. Now when the students click on this link, they will be redirected to this particular form that you have just created. I'm going to cancel it now. Okay. Now once the students have entered the data or their attendance, they've selected all the options, you will again get this as you can get this as a separate Excel file or a spreadsheet. How is that? Under responses, we come to this section which has got this green button here. Click on this. It will again ask you whether you want to create a new spreadsheet or select an existing spreadsheet. It's always preferable to create a new spreadsheet because it is attendance of a separate day altogether. So 17 July, create a new spreadsheet. I say create. Now it creates a new spreadsheet called 17 July, which contains the responses of 17th July. If you see on 15 July, you come to responses. If you click on the viewing of the responses in the sheets, you can see 15 July is a separate day altogether. 15 July responses is separate. The questions are separate. 17 July, the form is separate and the question again is separate. So in this way, you can have a separate Google sheet for every spreadsheet for every day attendance that you have. Now, where does this form appear? If you come back to your Google form, you can view these forms in this section itself. If you can see 15 July, 17 July, all of this is coming here. In case if you're not able to find the form, when you open forms.google.com, you can search for it also here. Say I say 17th July 2020. If I say this, see I've got the form here, 17th July 2020 responses. Similarly 15 July, I can get those responses under form. So this is the way we can search for the form also if you want. So in this manner, we can create our Google Forms for attendance, send it to the students and get their responses in Google spreadsheet. If you want, you can download this spreadsheet also in the form of a Google file, in the form of an Excel sheet, sorry. You can come to File, Download, Excel. So when you download it, it comes as an Excel sheet. I also told you that I will show you another form. It's Excel sheet. So maybe I can open this, and if there are responses, yeah, there is one response. Someone had, okay, one moment. Someone had already filled this particular form. So I am going to show you how the responses look. In the responses tab, this is how it comes. Whatever selection they have done will appear here. And if you want, you can go back up and open a fresh spreadsheet to view how this response looks like. See, again it asks you whether you want to create a new spreadsheet. I'll say create. It will not ask you every time, it will ask you only for the first time. So see, this is how it appears. So the student had entered at so and so date and so time, her email address was captured, the score that the person got, all of it gets populated in the form spreadsheet like this. So this is how it's going to appear. As and when the students fill up, all these rows are going to get populated. So this is how you can use Google Form to mark the attendance of our students. Thank you.